A Muslim organization in New York State is calling for the removal of the words Islamic terrorists on a new 9/11 memorial. It's in the town of Owego, claiming those words could encourage hatred towards Muslims who live in the area. The town supervisor, Don Castellucci, is with me now. He's on the telephone. Let me just start at the very beginning. When was the monument erected, and then when did it go public? Was this recent?
Yes, it's been under construction for the last 6 to 7 weeks, and little by little, we've been regressing, and about 3 to 5 weeks ago, we had the narrative of the mosaic wall put in.
And the narrative that it's the Islamic Organization of Southern Tier objects to is this here. It says on the monument, on September 11, 2001, 19 Islamic terrorists unsuspectedly boarded 4 airliners. It then goes on to tell us about the tragedy many of us have lived through. The group says it would have preferred just terrorist or al-Qaeda terrorists. Would that have been appropriate?
I think possibly it could have been, but when we created this, we bounced it around, me and the contractor, and we decided on Islamic terrorists. It's strictly the 19. It's to a specific event, a specific day, and specifically 19 Islamic terrorists, which they were. It's quoted in the 9/11 report, many places, and we think it's historically factual, and we didn't think that we needed to explain it any further.
I'm going to ask you this question based on an experience I had when I was a much younger man as a reporter when I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was referring to a story about a Holocaust survivor who had survived after living in Auschwitz, and I referred to Auschwitz, which was in Poland, as a Polish death camp. And I got several phone calls from people who were of Polish descent who said it absolutely was not a Polish death camp. It was a Nazi death camp. Is there something in that experience from my past that would be similar to this that you're going through in Owego?
It's a tough question. I would say no, only because that's not an indictment of the Polish people. It was something that was in their land. And so maybe the wrong word was used there, but I don't know if it's the same exact example that we're using here. This is not an indictment of 1 billion Muslims. They were very peaceful. 85% of them are very peaceful people. I think we all know that, I think, as Americans. But there was 19 that day that decided to hijack a religion and do what they did. And this is a memorial site that is honoring the people that went in and risked their lives to save people, and many of them lost them, and the victims that were unwilling participants. And it's nothing more than that. It's a historical...
Well, is it an example of political correctness run amok, that you can't call someone who is clearly an Islamic terrorist an Islamic terrorist?
That I would say that is. If this was being built in 2004, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And now that it's had 10 or 15 years to be, out now, that now we have to start worrying about what we are saying. We could get rid of the Webster's dictionary, I guess, and come up with a politically correct dictionary that everybody can use, and we're not going to offend anyone. So I think it's historical to that date, to that event, those 19 and only those 19. And, we all know Muslim people, and to the best of my knowledge, the ones I know are all peaceful. I never, I don't know a lot of them, but we know them, and they're no different than your other neighbors and friends. So I don't look at people at, what their religion is or race. I look at them as how they treat me, and I don't look any different than that.
And as it does say on the memorial, as I wrap up, it was 19. You make that issue, those 19 men. I have to cut our discussion short at that point, but I appreciate your being with us. Donald Castellucci, Jr. from Owego.